So now I'm going to add my embellishment. I'm going to use this orange wired ribbon that has the orange chevron print on it. I found this at Hobby Lobby and it is 15 feet long. And if you keep an eye on it, all of their ribbon goes 50% off occasionally throughout the month. I wanted something that was appropriate for not only Halloween but also for Thanksgiving, so I could just leave it throughout the fall. So I'm going to start up here at the top where I started my burlap. I'm going to come from the back again, and for the small wreath, I actually come in and I do this afterwards. So instead of like a bubble, I want this to be more just kind of a strip of chevron going through the center. So I'm going to find my center here in the middle. You have to kind of push the existing burlap through. So just push the existing burlap through, and I'm just leaving this on the spool back here, and I'm just going to start weaving this through. So this is super simple. I mean, it looks like it would be complicated, but you're actually just weaving it through as you pull it off. So you're going to have to kind of pull it through continually. In fact, you can really get it started like by pulling out a lot, because obviously you're going to be taking it the whole way through the wreath. But I'm just going to continually weave it, and if you want to kind of take a guesstimate of how much you're going to use. Now, I don't want a big bubble in between the two, and in fact, I'm only going to pull it through about every 2. So I'm going to pull it through there and kind of leave it out just a little bit. And then I'm going to go about 2 down. I'm going to find a separation in between and get to the middle. And I'm going to push it back through there with my end. I'm just going to pull it all the way through there. Find a separation that is in the middle. And I'm going to go ahead and pull it through to the back. And I'm just going to continue doing this all the way around the wreath. So that's just going to fill it in a little bit. And I just want it interspersed in between. So here is a big hole right there, so I can fill that in. And I'm just going to continue pulling this through all the way around. So the difference between what I'm doing here and what I do with my wreaths where I am pulling it through at the same time is that I'm kind of overlapping the pieces a little bit more. So I'm covering more ground with the chevron than I was with pulling it through. Because when I'm just pulling it through, I'm just looping and coming back through the center. So there you can see there's a line. So then I'm just going to continue doing this all the way around, and I really feel like it's just as easy to do this as it is the other way where you're pulling it through and looping it continually around at the same time that you're doing the other burlap. I like to do it either way. I mean, it works fine doing it either way. So it's really just your preference. So I'm just going to keep continuing pulling this down. So you can see I'm all the way around almost to the end, and I just have it interspersed in between here intermittently, and this is kind of just filling the center nicely. I'd say the only thing to remember is just to go through that center loop if you're doing it this way, so that way the placement is kind of in the right spot. But I'm just going to keep continuing to separate this apart and pull this ribbon through. And then once you fluff everything back up, it kind of makes everything as full as you need it to be. And the one thing I will say about this burlap from Walmart is it is a little bit stringier than the burlap that I get from Hobby Lobby, but they work about the same. So if you only have a Walmart in your area, you know, you should be fine just using this. So I'm down here on the last loop. I'm going to go ahead and pull this through down here, and then go ahead and fluff it out around there. I'm going to take it over, and it goes right back through over here, right where I started, and you can see I just had about enough. So this is wired, so it stays really nicely with the wires. So I'm just going to take it and tie an end off around that center loop. And it doesn't even have to be a tie. Honestly, with the wire, it just stays. So I just punch it through. I mean, obviously, when your wreaths are up on the wall, it's not like they're going to be kind of carted around or anything. So then I'm just going to kind of go around and fluff it up, make sure everything's where I want it, and then I'm going to add my embellishments. Alright, embellishment wise, they didn't have a ton left at Hobby Lobby, but I did pick up these cute little berries. So what I'm planning on doing is just sticking these through, and then these also have wire in them, so you can use that to secure them. Or if you had something, you could tie it on with the twine as well. So I'm going to stick these in a row of 3, and what I tend to try to do is if I'm going to be adding a bow to the wreath, I tend to try to put that where I started it, so it kind of covers up that start and end point. I'm just going to be punching this through the center, which is where I stick all of my embellishments on the wreath. I want to kind of part the burlap ever so slightly so I can get this through the back. And then these have a wire on them, so you could tie it on if you wanted, but I'm actually going to use the wire to kind of help secure it. So I'm just going to take that wire and I'm going to bend it through the burlap on the back. Now, the reason why I'm not doing a lot of permanent things with hot glue or things like that is because I want this wreath, the base of it, the burlap base, to be reusable. So because this burlap is very stiff, it actually holds embellishments in quite nicely. So I'm going to just go ahead and stick it in like that and leave that. I'm just going to bend this a little bit, and then I'm going to take it here in the back and then stick it through the burlap. And you can see I'm doing nothing permanent here. So that way, if I wanted to use this burlap wreath over and over, I could actually just take this chevron out very, very quickly, very, very easily, and take these embellishments out very, very quickly, and you have an all new wreath. So then for the third one, I just kind of want it over here in this area. All I have to do is put on my bow to finish it off. So next up is making a bow to embellish the wreath, and I do not have enough of this pumpkin, so I'm going to go ahead and use the chevron. I really like this pumpkin against that though because it puts multiple shades of that orange in there, so I may try to incorporate it somehow, but I'll show you how to make the bow actually with this orange chevron. And they unfortunately no longer have this at Hobby Lobby anymore because, again, like I said, they're changing over into Christmas already. So that's what I used on my main front door wreath this year. But if you don't know how to make a bow, they're really super simple. I'm just this to the top of my wreath, right where I started. So I'm just going to find the point where I attached everything onto the wreath. So if you decided that you wanted to change this out later on, it would be very, very easy to turn this into something else, basically, because all you're going to have to do is pluck the little berries out, basically. You're just going to untie the bow and put a different bow on, and you can pull the orange chevron out even and put a different sort of accent ribbon in there. So next I'm just going to tie off cut my ribbon, so that way I have 2 strands of ribbon that are about the same length. So here is the wreath that I made for the fall gallery wall.